Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Sorry for the late start on the meeting room. I'll give everybody a couple minutes to jump on in. Hiya, folks. I'll probably give like I was just saying, I started the meeting a little late, so I'll give folks a couple minutes to retry to enter the meeting room before we get started. But it's good to see a bunch of faces here today. Hey, Greg, can I give you co-host so you can let people in if I'm missing that?
Yes.
Fabulous.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Tony. Natalie, is that Natalie Coe?
Yes, it is.
Oh, my apologies for spelling your name wrong.
Oh, that's okay. You made me related to Harold Coe, I believe.
Well,
That's okay. It's COE, but
for the record,
it's funny for 3 letters, it gets misspelled often.
Well, I apologize.
That's fine.
Thank you. Mr. Natalino, good to see you.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. I am doing well.
How you doing, Arthur?
Good to see you, Tony. How you been?
Good, good.
Click, click, click. There we go. All right. Well, I think we can probably get off to a slow start. So I'll call this meeting to order. It's Tuesday, November 16th. This is the Downtown Worcester Square Management Team. It's good to see everybody here today. We will follow our kind of normal agenda, which opens with some reports. We'll move into a bit of an open forum. So if anybody from the neighborhood has anything to bring up, or our 2 neighborhoods, feel free to just throw your hand up. You can either chat myself or Greg, or put something in the chat about how you want to say something, or just go ahead and unmute yourself when we get to that point. And then we'll hear a couple announcements. We'll hear from our Alder-elect Ward 1, Alex Guzne. Thanks for being here. We'll hear from Desk. Steve Werland's here, Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen, to talk about their Thanksgiving stuff. And supporting a community development block grant. And then we'll hear something I'm pretty excited about from Natalie Coe about leaf blowers. And with that, I will hand it over to our district manager, Lieutenant Borer. Lieutenant, what you got? Uh-oh. We cannot hear you. But I did see you go off of mute.
Right, I'm sorry. That's what I
There you
made sure. So for trends, so over the last 30 days, we had 1 robbery.
I'm sorry. I heard 1 robbery, and then
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're kind of coming in and out a little bit, unfortunately.
Hold on. All right, hold on. All right. Well, hopefully this works. So over the last 30 days, we had one robbery. We had 5 burglaries, and it's actually going on a trend downwards with a lot of work from our ISU and our patrol officers. I'm hoping that we should end up with 2 arrest warrants for 2 different burglary suspects. It's still, we're still working on it. It's coming through the pipeline, but it's looking like this is going to resolve a lot of the issues that we've been seeing downtown with our burglaries. Our thefts from motor vehicle, which is our car break-ins, that has also taken a pretty steep decline, which is good to see. That I know that's a constant battle downtown. That's basically it for our crime.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him? I'll give him a sec to come back. There he is. Welcome back.
All right, did I get dropped out?
Yeah, that's okay. Zoom, everybody. We all understand.
Am I coming through?
You are coming through.
There you
Okay.
go.
Sorry about that. Did you guys catch any of that, my first spiel there, or no?
Yeah, we got you. Robberies, burglaries. That was it. And
Okay.
then you're about to transition.
Okay, so just some of the things I've been working on for the past couple of weeks. I've been getting lots of questions and complaints regarding noise and noise complaints. So we just recently got decibel readers back from the health department. They had to get calibrated for us to legally use them and do enforcement action with them. I've had the first few handful of officers get trained on how to use them. So going forward, I have been doing a small rollout with those. We've been using them primarily at Temple and Chapel because that's where a good amount of my noise complaints have been coming from. And that's kind of where Lieutenant Marr had kind of focused on as well, dealing with loud vehicles, stereos, and things of that nature. But we do have them. They're calibrated and they're in the works here. Another thing I've been working on is I get a lot of complaints about the bars downtown at night. Same thing, noise complaints and other kinds of issues. I've been working on that. I've been working that personally on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays for the most part to help officers and the bars address some of these issues. It's kind of an ongoing battle. Most people don't realize that for the amount of crowd that we have downtown, we typically only have 4 officers assigned to control pedestrians and vehicle traffic down there. But it's one of those things that I'm aware of it, and we're doing the best we can with the resources that we have right now. I did do a bar raid at Rise nightclub, which is one of the clubs that I have been getting complaints about regarding underage drinking and fights and things of that nature. I went there with liquor control on November 4th. We gave out 1 infraction to a juvenile. And when I say juvenile, just under the age of 21, issued them an infraction for possession of alcohol. And liquor control took a report where there was a sale of alcohol to someone that was under 21 years of age. So it's little things like that where we're able to get our foot in the door to help improve some of these businesses downtown. I've been following up on a lot of these burglaries, which I'm hoping is helping in some of the decrease that we're seeing. We have a good suspect that's likely responsible for a majority or a good amount of them. The warrant isn't signed yet. We're still working with court to tie up some loose ends, but that is coming down the pipeline. The individual that we're looking to have the warrant for did the most recent burglary at 68 Church Street, which is College Wine. That location was broken into back on November 1st. Also, going forward, the district managers have been getting involved in some of the motor vehicle enforcement. I took some officers out on this past Thursday on the 11th, and we did motor vehicle enforcement downtown. I specifically focused on the stretch of Chapel Street between State and York Street because due to traffic data that I got from our crime analysts, that stretch of Chapel has a large amount of accidents and tend to be the most severe accidents. so we were out there for 2 hours. During that time frame, we did 16 motor vehicle stops and we issued 10 infractions. But overall, for the month of October, we did 182 motor vehicle stops and we gave out 101 infractions. And lastly, I've been still working on 55 Church Street, that Lieutenant Marr, that's kind of his pet project that he's been working with. It's a bus stop at that location. I'm still out there a couple of times a week, speaking with individuals that are kind of loitering at the bus stop. A lot of them don't have really much any place else to go and tend to be homeless. And I've been offering them homeless outreach services. I'm constantly in contact with the programs to get these individuals assistance in any way. And that's pretty much it for crime and kind of what I've been up to. I've been working a lot with LCI. If anyone has any concerns or questions for me, I'm happy to address it or to follow up with them afterwards. That's all I got, Ian.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I see one question from Miriam Grossman. Miriam?
Yeah,
And
thank
then
you.
Tony.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant. My name is Miriam. I live on Temple Street, right near Rise. Ever since the clubs have been reopened with, with, I guess, no more curfews, it's been really hard downtown. The noise, especially, Thursday to Saturday night, it can be really unbearable. Till 1:30 in the morning, we have music going. Like a week or so ago, I called the police for a noise complaint, not the 911 number, but the non-emergency number. And I said, yeah, I'll have an officer speak to me. I called around like whatever, it was like 1 something in the morning. I think it was like 1 something in the morning. They didn't have an officer call me till 5 in the morning. That meant they didn't have anyone tend to my complaint for 4 hours. And of course I missed the call. I was thinking at them, but I feel like it's not taken seriously. I've only seen uniform officers on club detail once, and that time they didn't have the noise meters. They claimed that that it was that traffic had that they were stuck with traffic. But the recalibration thing, I've heard that excuse 2 years ago. And then there's these motorcycles that park on Temple Street right outside my building, and some of them have out-of-state plates. I asked the officers, "Are you gonna look at these motorcycles, see if they're if their muffler's been altered?" Because some of them make loud noises when they're leaving. It's not just turning on the ignition and getting out of there, but it's like vroom, 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 revving the engines. And I asked them, "Are you going to take a look at these motorcycles and see if the mufflers are altered?" Because then I know they have to go to the DMU within 45 days to show they changed them back, or to have out-of-state plates and they're always here, so they have Connecticut plates. And they didn't seem inclined to really, look into it. So I rarely see uniform officers downtown. My noise complaint was not taken seriously. It took 4 hours for someone to even come. The noise is like unbearable. The noise is like unbearable at 1:30 in the morning. I don't understand why, and are you even there? Are you going after mask violations? Like, are these people all masked in these clubs? I mean, is it, are they like, I know even with vaccinations, are they becoming super spreader events, or is that being looked into? But I just feel like, and I hate when people say, "Oh, you live downtown, you don't like it, move." Yes, there's ambient noise, but there's a difference between ambient noise and pulsating music at like 1:30 in the morning. And I just feel
is the music you're referring to, is it coming from a bar or is it like an individual out in the street?
I feel like it feels like it's party music sometimes. I don't always go out to see because it's like late at night, but I feel like it's, I'm not sure it's from one of the clubs or the remnants of the club, some after partying.
So if it's coming from the actual bar locations, a lot of people don't know. And I actually just learned about this recently, so that the health department addresses noise that's coming from like a fixed building.
Right. But when I called the police, how come it took 4 hours someone even bothered to come? Like, how come there were no officers there on club detail who could immediately respond to the issue? And how come there were no officers there who could immediately respond to the issue on club detail? And why did it take 4 hours for someone to come? Like, by that time, the music's long gone, of course.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. So that's definitely, we take noise complaints seriously. So I feel sorry that, this happened, and I get the frustration. On my midnight shift, I have 2 officers for downtown in Worcester Square, and it's not an excuse, but the reality is that sometimes officers do get so busy that noise complaints hold for hours. And I get the frustration, I get the emails and the text messages, and we do address it. But there is some nights, certainly, that with only having 2 officers in the district, that sometimes these calls do hold. And that gets sorted out through dispatch by where we need resources at any particular time.
Why don't they, right, so why don't the bars require to hire extra duty officers? It's ridiculous. It's every week. It's like every week, it's my quality of life has really declined.
I can answer that. So some bars do hire. Again, the reality is that with our staffing right now, most officers aren't, number one, are already working regular patrol overtime to fill our patrol cars and to fill our bar detail, that there's usually isn't enough. We have problems filling extra duty jobs now as it is because of our staffing issues. It's a constant battle, but there is bars that offer to hire a cop, and we just say there's times that we just can't do that.
After COVID violations too, like are you going after mask issues in these clubs? They seem like they're, a lot of people are in there.
Yeah, so I've made refers to the health department. Again, that's like the primary agency that would address that. I have definitely sent emails to the health department when I see those things. But again, when I get that kind of information or those kinds of violations, I forward those to the health department because again, it's an important issue, but that is the agency that would handle that complaint.
And what about the motorcycles? Who's inspecting them to make sure they're not altered with the mufflers? Like, and they're revving the engines, like who's making sure that they're all, appropriately, not aftermarket, altered?
Yeah, so we do that. We definitely do that on a case by case basis. And that's another issue that I see with motorcycles. And we can definitely address that. And it's like, I talk to people too that drive motorcycles, and it's not, it's obviously it's against the law and noise ordinances in New Haven. But it's interesting when you talk to some of these people that drive motorcycles, because I'm sorry, I'm fighting a cold here, but they believe that having loud motorcycle pipes protect them from accidents as part of their culture. So it's like, not that it's an excuse, but when you have conversations with people that drive motorcycles, they believe that this is a way to protect them when they're driving a motorcycle. But we do address it, and that's definitely something I can have that be focused on more so.
Lieutenant, is this and Miriam, is there a way that we can, and someone like Miriam, who's I think got a really good eye on what's going on downtown, or maybe an ear, is there a pattern, or is there something that, if you were able to acknowledge Miriam and say, hey, every Thursday night this place is really loud, and we were able to get that information over to you in a way that's more helpful for your enforcement?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So Miriam, maybe try to keep a logbook and see if there's some regularity to it, and that can be helpful there. But we've been hearing it for a while, and I do understand the impact to the lack of sleep. So we need to be partners in that. I saw Tony and then Abby Roth and Alder Roth.
Hi, Lieutenant. This is Tony Kozlowski. I've got not a question that is on any of the subjects you've been dealing with, but Steve Ham is not here tonight, and I had a question for him, but perhaps you can answer that. And it is what's the policy of the police department relative to body cams for the civilian review board to review for any specific case? Do they have unfettered access, or is that restricted?
To be honest, that's a good question. I don't know if there's special, I would have to refer that to internal affairs. I would feel like as long as there's not a active criminal investigation that can't be released to the public yet, that should be a simple request to get done. But I'm not familiar. I've never worked in internal affairs, who primarily deals with the civilian review board.
This is not releasing to the public. This is releasing to the civilian review board.
Right. So I would assume that the same type of the issues would apply if it's an active criminal investigation. I don't think that they would release it, but I could be wrong. I've never worked in internal affairs. That would definitely be a question that if I'm going to be quoted and put on the record, I would have to confirm with them what the protocol is, because that's not in my wheelhouse right now.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Lieutenant. Alder Roth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lieutenant, for two things. First, It would be great if you could just share what you shared with me in terms of the time frame for the investigation of, I guess I'm referencing the cyclist who was killed, who was hit a few weeks ago at College and Grove. And so I had been asking Lieutenant Gore along with Alder Sabin to try to find out more details as to about the accident. He explained that it's still under investigation. And so I asked if there was any estimated time as to when the investigation would be finished, and maybe you could just share what you shared in terms of
Sure.
typical timeframe.
Yep. So I talked to Captain Dell. She's been a supervisor for our accident recon for a number of years now. I spoke with her today to get any kind of information that I can release to the meeting. Nothing could be released. At this time, really, I sent an email to Alder Roth with a flyer with information that could be released. But before the investigation could be fully released and all the details exposed to the public, it typically takes about 6 months to a year for these kinds of investigations to run through an arrest warrant getting signed. And we need an arrest to be made legally before this information gets released to the public. And I'm kind of talking in circles, but 6 months to a year for that process.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. And then just also just to the question of the cameras, we had a public safety committee meeting on that, and the Civilian Review Board is looking at body camera. They are able to look at the body camera video, but I think they're not getting but you should double check on this. I think the issue is they are not getting it until cases are closed. And I think there may be the language of the Civilian Review Board would ordinance would be that they would get it earlier, I believe, but I may be misspeaking the timeline of things, but but they definitely are looking at video that came up in our hearing.
Yeah, for sure. I would just direct that question to Lieutenant Cologne, who is the officer in charge of internal affairs. All I can do is speculate on what that process would look like, because I've never worked with the Civilian Review Board or that familiar with the policy.
Thank you both. On that, attached to the minutes for today's meeting will be a flyer from the police department that Lieutenant Boris shared with me earlier. It has some details about the vehicle in question, and if anybody's seen anything or knows anything, or knows of anybody who's seen anything, please help the police solve it.
Thank you.
All right, so any other further questions for our NHPD? Seeing none, thank you so much. I'm going to move on. Steve Ham, our representative on the CRB, wasn't able to be here with us tonight, but he did send a very thorough update. I will read that now because I think it is helpful, and I'll also include it in the minutes. All right, so he is not here tonight because he is meeting with the police chief and some of her staff. So he is conducting business to the CRB, and for that, we're happy he's doing that. All right, so the CRB is meeting with, as I just said, the CRB is meeting with Chief Renee Dominguez to discuss one of the cases that involved the death of a New Haven firefighter. A subcommittee of the board that Steve is a member of began investigating the case last month ahead of the disciplinary hearing involving a police sergeant and the chief. But we were unable to get all the information we need to make a recommendation, so we asked the chief to delay the hearing. She declined to do so, citing union rules. She's taking the matter to the Board of Police Commissioners for a hearing. You can read about the case here. I am dropping that link in the chat at the moment. The CRB is asking the chief about that case and also discussing how the CRB and PD should work together. Bullet 2. Two subcommittees of the CRB, both of which Steve is part of, made recommendations to the full board concerning 3 cases. The recommendations are to be considered by the board at the next meeting on November 29th. In all 3 cases, police officers punched civilians in the course of making arrests for minor offenses. In 2 of the 3 cases, they punched civilians in the face or head. The IA investigators, after consulting the police use of force expert, determined that the punches were justified. We are recommending to the CRB that it ask Chief Dominguez to review the rules of using force and to make punching in the face or head off limits except in extreme situations. For clarity, anytime I use we here, I'm referring to the CRB and Steve's position on that. There have been a number of articles published about the CRB in recent weeks, some of which point out that the board has been slow to get started on its business. That is true. Getting the board going has required a lot of training and creating of new processes and procedures. We've also been hampered by Zoom connectivity challenges. It seems like the pace and effectiveness of our work has improved in recent weeks, however. Best wishes from Steve. You can always reach out to Steve at steveham31@gmail.com. He's very responsive, and we are proud of his work on the CRB. So thank him for that when you see him. All right. I would ask for any questions, but I would not be able to answer them. I just got a chat. I will enable screen sharing for anybody who needs it. I am happy to do that. Next up, our report from our neighborhood specialist and from LCI, Arthur Natalino.
Thank you, Ann. Good evening, everyone. I know it's been a long time. Good to see everybody. And I will be brief in my report, but I do have a lot to talk about. So first off, I have been following a lot of C-Click Fix complaints that have been coming in over the past 6-7 weeks. So most of those cases are closed, and I'll just follow on my list here. So I got a complaint about some unauthorized storage issues with a property on Lion Street that connected to a Grand Avenue address. So I talked to the owners and I was able to get that issue addressed. And then what else here? Further down online, I noticed that somebody put out some bulk trash without appointment. I left a door knocker, was able to get in contact with the owner, and she removed that within 24 hours. And what else do I have here? I had to leave a couple of door knockers on similar circumstances on St. John Street in the beginning once you turn from Olive. I was able to make contact with those owners, and the procedure with that is I leave the door knocker, they leave me, they call me now. At least I have the contacts to call them in case the issue happens again in the future. So what else here? I had another issue of unauthorized storage on George Street through another C-Click Fix issue. Those issues were addressed. What else I have here? I had a possible illegal dumping or bulk trash appointment that wasn't created on property on Chapel and Franklin. I was able to contact that owner. He had a couple of incidents, but it's been really quiet the past 5 weeks. So I think somebody might have moved out, but management or the owner was very responsive. So that's good. What else I have here? I wanted to thank Lieutenant for his collaboration with a property on Church Street. I know we had some open to trespass issues on the side of the building that was causing some concerning activity to the residents. We talked to management. They were able to re-secure the area that was causing the disturbance. So ever since then, it's still secure. No activity has been coming back. Further down, going towards Gateway, there was another property. I did a walkthrough with some of our constituents on the corner of Church and George. I know there was an area of that property where a lot of dumping and trash. So I sent them a notice of violation, and now I have a contact over there, and really nice people. They were able to address those issues, and also they were able to lock part of the gate where people were accessing, just throwing trash, litter, debris. And now they put up some really good displays of no trespassing, but they cleaned up a lot of stuff down there. When I tell you it was really, really bad. So at least they're going to be on a routine maintenance schedule now. So I will follow up, but I was able to close that case. And what else do you have here? I got an issue over there on when you turn on to William onto Bradley. I was already in the process of doing anti-blight enforcement, and then I know a C-click fix issue came about some concerning fence issues. The owner put up a brand new fence on the property, so we were able to address those issues. I know that a lot of concerning residents had issues with that, so that's good news. What else I have here? Also, some of the side streets of Chapel and Hamilton, Wallace Street and South Wallace Street, to be exact, I had to send multiple notice of violations out in regards to some really bad tree belt maintenance, because I feel like that attracts a lot of illegal dumping. So majority of all those were addressed, and now I established good communication, understanding with the owners, and I built up great relationships with the businesses. So now they're going to monitor that more frequently, because it was like a jungle in some of these areas. So it was really beautified through their companies. But like I said, sometimes the notice of violations work in establishing great relationships and just educating people how the ordinances work. What else here? Yeah, that's pretty much it. But also I wanted to circle back. I know that we missed last month. I just wanted to say that the Southern student collaboration was a great success. We had about 4 areas of the district, and specifically we had Grand Avenue. I had some students with Jocelyn Square, Worcester Square, and specifically the area of Fair and Union. Southern kids did a phenomenal job in removing all the graffiti over there, right near the Fair Union corner. It was a complete mess, and that is all completely covered now. And in regards to graffiti, there was graffiti removed also in the 2 bridges of Jocelyn Square area. I wanted to thank all the hard workers that did that with my staff, but also I was able to reach out to one of the contractors of the Olive Street Chapel development. Really nice guy. He was able to address all those issues. I know I got a C-click fix complaint about that. So he was able to remove a good amount of graffiti over there. So I'm very happy that we got a significant amount of graffiti removed, especially coming into the cold season. And I know there's a spot here and there, but I will continue to monitor. But in regards to majority of the graffiti that was an eyesore, most of that has been removed. So I'm very happy about that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. And I am here for any questions if anybody wants to ask me.
Thank you, Arthur. I will just double down on really being really impressed with Arthur's responsiveness on C-click fix. And I know it's kind of a cumbersome technology, and if you don't want to download the app and it's a pain in the butt for you, the management team has set up its own account. We're happy to post it for you. You can email me, you can text me, you can just send me a picture with a brief description, and we'll put it up there for you. And I can't really promise the turnaround times that we've currently been seeing, but right now everything's been getting fixed in like 36 hours. So Arthur, you might have set the bar too high going forward. So really well done there. Miriam.
2 things. One, I hope when it comes time for winter, the C-click fixes reports about, areas that need shovel will be addressed at the same speed. We'll see. Also, with the bulk pickup, like a friend of mine was like looking to see because he wanted to get rid of a futon, and I never done bulk removal. It just seems very confusing. I mean, are people leaving stuff out because the website may be too hard to navigate? Like if you're a tenant and you want to get rid of a couch or something, should the process be made like clearer and easier about how to get rid of stuff?
Arthur?
So I could maybe get some literature that Public Works has, like a flyer or something, and maybe submit that through the management team email and walk everybody through how it works. I know that I know it could be a tricky process, but I try to educate a lot of people when they just put it out there before I enforce. So, it depends. The whole, and I've done this still throughout the Hill the past 5 years. I think when they just put it out there, I think the whole point is to get it removed as soon as possible before the dumping becomes more and more. So it's just, you know, like I said, I could get some literature from Public Works that could be submitted through the management team email to educate people how it works. And I'm very, or like I said, there's a, yeah, there's a link over here too also that, and thank you for that. So, but yeah, if you have any other questions, if Public Works, but like I said, Public Works is very, very good at walking everybody through the process. But, you know, I am here if you have any other, you know, questions, if you get confused or anything, but they're pretty good at explaining how that process works. And I'm not sure next month throughout the winter if they do it because of seasonal operations. So, but you know, you could just give them a call and see if they have any openings for the month of December coming up.
Yeah, thank you, Arthur. It might be worth understanding. So bulk pickup isn't you just put it on the curb and then you call. And
Yeah, and Public Works has a couple of public space inspectors, and they are great, and we collaborate very effectively. So we are on the ground, and we definitely try to be very proactive with curb appeal in the neighborhoods.
Yes, yes, you do. Thank you. I will pile on the bulk thing just briefly here because I think, and I just looked at the Public Works website, and there's two things here that are interesting. One is you have a bunch of bulk stuff, you can put it on your curb, but often what you're putting on your curb could be useful for folks. So there is a list of nonprofits accepting donations of bulk. I think especially right now, Iris is often looking for a bunch of household things that you might not need anymore, but a bunch of
Yeah, and not to cut you off, what's his name? I think Jeff, sometimes he has those events for the Solid Waste Authority where sometimes people could come out and bring certain items to those events, which is very convenient for the neighborhood. So maybe one of those might be popping up soon too. So maybe we could bring him back to one of the management teams forward.
Yeah, we'll reach out if there's anything. We'll put it out in the minutes. Just Miriam, I think what I'm saying here is bulk pickup, you need to schedule it. They'll arrange it when they have the equipment available and they're in your neighborhood. If people are just putting stuff on the curb, that's bad behavior. We're going to keep seeing that bad behavior, but the faster you report it, the faster we can get rid of it. So I think there are people who want to do the right thing, and then there are people who just will put stuff on the curb. And that's the way it is. Anybody else? Questions for our neighborhood specialist? No. All right. Well, I see some folks from economic development here. You don't need to take it, but if you'd like to make a report, now's your time. Anybody here that wants to do that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kathleen Krolek, I believe, and I are on the call, and we don't have any specific report to present at this time. Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we do look forward to bringing you some other projects in the new year. We do continue to have a lot of interest in your district, and obviously want to thank Alder Roth. I see her on the call here. So obviously we've enjoyed working with her over the years, as well as some of her other colleagues. So just want to be here as a resource if there's any questions and bring you other things as they come forward.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Fontana. Anybody with any questions for economic development? We'll have an open forum later too, so if you think anything, you can pop in. It was not that far away. All right, so next up, we are going to our aldermanic reports. So as folks may or may not know, we've been rotating who's going first because Eli kept stealing everybody's thunder with his excellent reports. And we're not gonna let that happen anymore. So Alder Roth, take us away.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just mention a few things so that everyone can chime in with a few items. So last night we voted and approved the contract between the unions having to deal with Union Station and State Street Station for a 35-year lease from the state with two options for 10-year extensions to that lease. And then also that will be sort of subcontracted out to the New Haven Parking Authority to be operating both stations. I actually had not known this previous to this, that some other company was sort of managed the State Street station, and now both of them will have Park New Haven, the New Haven Parking Authority, managing both of them. And as part of it, there's also a capital partnership agreement that kind of has the goals for redeveloping it. There's sort of lots nearby that they want to, possibilities for redeveloping, intermodal transportation, garage, and then making a lot more retail, in Union Station. So I think people are excited about all the opportunities there. So I think that was a positive thing. Inclusionary zoning, there was a legislation committee hearing, I think it was just last week. And it was on the proposal to change the zoning code to, it's sort of a complex proposal with different tiers for different parts of the city. For sort of downtown Worcester Square would be in the central tier. And to encourage more inclusionary zoning. There were a lot of people who testified. I think the chair going into it knew a lot of people would testify, and it sort of said this is going to at least be a 2. He would have a second meeting, and I believe that meeting date will be Tuesday, December 7th, assuming it's on the regular date of the legislation committee. So I encourage people with an interest in that to attend. It's a complicated, it's a complex public policy issue. So there's a lot of different views on it. And clearly we all know we need more affordable housing in the city. So what's sort of the best way to achieve that? So hearing from everyone is really helpful. Safe routes for all, I think that's been raised at past meetings. That was sort of throughout the year. People, some of you may have participated sort of doing walk-arounds and bike-arounds, and a private consulting company worked with the city to sort of gather data about the whole city and look at intersections that were kind of the most dangerous and needed the most improvement, and has sort of a recommended plan of prioritizing some to improve both public transit connections and bike and pedestrian safety. And so they sort of have a draft of this, and now it's open for public comment through Friday. And so they want people to chime in with comments. I know I chimed in with one comment because for York and South Frontage, which is one of my least favorite intersections in the city, they had a very vague entry, but they did not include that the city is expecting to get state money. The plan is they're getting state money, and they're going to do a raised crossing at York and South Frontage and the 2 preceding intersections, which hopefully will slow traffic there. So I was like, wanted to get that definitely in there to sort of help commit that will happen. And the city engineer also was going to send an amendment. But anyhow, we can put in the chat, or I'm really bad at putting things in the chat. Maybe I'll just email to Ian the Safe Routes for All link, so that anyone who's interested can add something, can make any amendments. And finally, the one other thing I want to mention, because this is very convenient spot for COVID testing. Now, I think this is a new thing, every Wednesday at 200 Orange Street on the 4th floor from 9 to 1, they're doing COVID testing. So hopefully our rates will not rise, but it's a little alarming seeing them rising in places like so good to know that resource is there for free for anyone. There's a lot of other stuff going on, but I will leave it to my colleagues to chime in on those issues.
Thank you so much, Alder Roth. As we go over to the next, don't feel like you have to repeat a previous report. And we have a couple other folks who are going to need to run early, so I might interrupt, but Alder Kupo.
Thank you, Chair. Alder Roth made a lot of really great points about last night about Safe Streets for All. I'll add that there are walk-in flu and COVID shots available daily. These are free, no insurance required. And the information is on cdc.gov/flu. But you can also go to covid19.newhavenct.gov for similar information. I was also going to add that there's a city plan commission meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. There are no large properties that are particularly in Ward 8, but just so folks know. And there's a city services and environmental policy meeting. This is CSIP on Thursday at 6 on Zoom as well. And then last thing I was going to actually, this is a little bit more pertinent to my neighbors on Worcester Street. I know we've had a lot of issues with the lights being out on Worcester between Olive and De Palma, particularly right on Warren Street, right after Sally's. This is quite dark. Public Works did a really excellent job getting that back up online. There was light last night. This evening when I biked home, those lights are out. But I want folks to know that I'm in touch with Director Pescasolito, and they are going to work on that first thing in the morning. He just called me while we were in this meeting and let me know that that is being addressed, in addition to the lights that are on the arch that are currently out. So they believe that it has something to do with the construction happening on Olive Street, but certainly it's a safety issue and we want to make sure that our neighbors are safe. And that's all I have, but I will add my contact info in the chat, my list to sign up for my newsletter, and I will pass it over to, I'm pretty sure is going to be Alder Sabin. Can I do that? Okay, great.
May. Alder Sabin.
Thanks, Alder Cupo. Thanks, Ian. Great to see everybody tonight. One thing that happened between our last meeting tonight is we had our municipal elections, as I'm sure everybody knows, at least folks on here, I'm sure. And in case anyone didn't know, I will be transitioning into the role in as the Alder in Ward 7, which I'm very excited about. So I will still definitely be on these calls every month. I'm very excited to continue working with the neighborhood, and would like to congratulate Alder Cupo and Alder Rodriguez on their re-elections, and congratulate Alder Roth on her getting back some of her evenings, and also on her many years of incredible service to our community, which we are all very much grateful and in debt for. So thank you, Alder Roth. And then a couple other things I just wanted to mention quickly. A few days ago, the mayor announced that he is nominating acting police chief Renee Dominguez to be the permanent police chief, and there will be an Aldermanic Affairs Committee meeting on her appointment on next Monday, November 22nd at 6 p.m. It should be on Zoom, and the mayor's nomination of Regina Rush Kittle, as well as the chief administrative officer, will also be hearing public testimony and hearing from Miss Rush Kittle at that meeting. So that's something to look out for if you're interested in either of those appointments to two of the most important jobs in city government. There's also going to be tomorrow at noon, we were told that there is going to be an announcement. I don't know if Karen wants to, I imagine we'll be hearing more about it at noon tomorrow, but there's going to be an announcement about the partnership between Yale and the city. I think we're hoping that there may be more resources coming to our city government following that announcement. So that's something to look out for. And I don't know if Karen has any thoughts, but we'll learn more tomorrow, definitely. One other thing is that the board will be voting on December 6th on a $12 million in investments in public safety infrastructure, including some cameras that would be placed around the city to try to increase our clearance rate for homicide, which is like the rate at which we solve homicides and non-fatal shootings and other violent incidents in our community. And that's some of the money, and then additional funding for lateral hires and trying to improve the public safety infrastructure we have in the city. So if you have any thoughts about that, I'm sure I would love to hear from you about it, and I'm sure my colleagues would as well. And then a couple of, one other thing that's exciting is that the Q House opened last week in Dixwell. So if you're driving down Dixwell or biking or walking down Dixwell and see a big shiny building, that's the Q House. It's very exciting. Going to be a rejuvenation of the neighborhood, which may continue with some more exciting developments in that corridor. So that's exciting. Then the last thing, a couple things going on in Ward 1 right now. I've been working with Arthur on lighting issues in downtown for a while, and there's a UI issue with a bunch of the street lights on Chapel Street that we're working to get addressed, and there are also a number of lights on Elm Street that are out right now that we're working to repair. And then lastly, there is, I don't know if anybody's been on Wall Street, there are markings currently down for a new contraflow bike lane. I am currently struggling with the city to hopefully get that installed this fall. It's possible that it may get pushed into the spring, especially with some staffing shortages that we're facing with the city, but I'm excited about that. And I think especially with the incident last week with the cyclist who was killed biking the direction that this bike lane would go. And I think this bike lane would be a safer route through downtown from east to west. So excited about that and hopeful that it will be installed soon. And I think that's all I got. Thanks. Happy to answer questions, and I'll put my contact information in the chat.
Thank you so much, Alder Sabin. Lana?
Hi, Alder Sabin, question for you about those cameras, or if you don't know the answer to this, if any of the other alders do. Do we know how many they are and what the use regulations are going to be around those?
My understanding that it's about 500 cameras, and I think I could be wrong about this. I think it's 120, 150 maybe are license plate reading cameras. I don't think there has been all that much conversation about use regulations. I'd be open to my colleagues chiming in there if they have any other information. Alder Roth, maybe.
Yeah. Thank you, Alder Sabin. Thanks for your question. No, I have been hoping we'd have a public safety committee meeting on the cameras, but I was told we are not. So, but if I did submit a number of questions I had, and if people have questions like that, we can certainly submit them before the vote to try to get more information on those. So yeah, like one question I had is kind of, are they on 24/7, and do they only get looked at if there is some sort of crime that's trying to be solved? And so if you have if you want to write out sort of a specific question and send it to us, we can forward that along.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that, because I know that this is a conversation that's happening in communities nationally, it seems like we should have more opportunities for this to be in communities or in committees, or for communities to give input, since this is enhanced public surveillance. So yes, I will definitely send along some questions to you.
I will say, at the hearing, a lot of people spoke up in favor of them. People in communities that have had a lot of violence very much expressed the desire to have them there. So there was public testimony at the Finance Committee that all was very favorable for the cameras, and people who are very respected and leaders in their neighborhood. So I do think that influenced people on the Finance Committee a lot in voting favorably.
Thanks, Lana, for the question, and thanks, Alder Roth and Alder Sabin, for the answers. I will, if I can cede my dais very quickly, I too would have some questions. I think just very quickly overall is any plugins to facial recognition or any sharing to other agencies at the federal level, and what would happen there. I know Hamden just outlawed or just passed a thing about facial recognition in that town, but it's hard to know what happens if footage gets shared intra-agency. So it's a question that I would have too.
Yeah, I will just chime in quickly. Alder Festa from Ward 10 asked during the Finance Committee meeting about the cameras, whether the cameras would be able to do facial recognition, and Chief Dominguez said that they would not be able to. So just want to note that.
It's helpful, thank you. Sarah Greenblatt.
I just want to say that I think that it's good to be asking some of these questions about the details of the process. I do know that when crime happens, when something happens in your neighborhood, if it's next door, if it's in somebody else's block that's not near you, you want to look towards those video cameras to help you identify who these folks might be. And I know, and living in a part of Worcester Square where the cameras are not terribly helpful, we're always looking for better cameras, better video capacity, not because we want to use it for anything sinister, but because we really want to see if we can identify who or what we can learn from the videos. And so I think it's really important for us to be asking some really critical questions, clearly, around civil liberties and that sort of thing. But it's also important for us to be thinking about how are we going to best solve the crimes where we live and what's best for our particular areas. So I mean, I think these are such important conversations, such important questions. And I just hope that we can all be as critical thinking as we can about these things, because we want to be able to just think about the pros and cons of whatever we're thinking about clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's exactly the right type of conversations that we should be having in the management teams too. This is public safety. This is how public safety interacts with our community and where we live every day. And that does seem to be the charge of this organization. So maybe we should create a smaller spin-off or save some time in a further meeting where we can actually dive into this and try to get some people who would be implementing the program in the room to answer those questions as well. I will take that under consideration. Any other further questions for our alders? I do not see Alder Rodriguez with us tonight. I will reach out on email and see if she's an update to provide over email. All right. Otherwise, we would go to Yale, and we may, but I will ask you a question, Karen King. Do you have a long report? The only reason I ask is that Natalie Coe does need to be out of here at 7:15, and if we could slide her in, that'd be great. But if not, in a short report, we'd be happy to roll right through it.
Happy to let Natalie go for me.
Is that all right, Natalie? Are you ready?
That works for me. Excellent. Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I am going out of turn, so sorry for bumping anybody. Okay, I'm going to actually share my screen. Hopefully this is going to work. I'm Natalie Coe, and I am here to talk about leaf blowers. I'm sort of part of a group of concerned citizens around this issue, and we've been talking to the various community management teams around the city. So let me, without further ado, share here. Okay, so first, the question obviously is, what exactly is the problem? Why are we an issue? And what are the solutions, if any? So, but I'm actually going to start by telling you how I got involved with this issue. It was a number of years ago, about like 15, 16 years ago. And I'm originally from New Haven. I'm a New Haven native, but I lived all over the place. And at the time I was living in New York City. And I moved back to New Haven with a very small baby. He was about 8 months old. And obviously New York City, not the quietest place, but coming back to New Haven, and I was actually in the East Rock area, and the amount of noise from the leaf blowers, I utterly shocked and tried to get a little baby to sleep. Whoops, let me go back there. Yeah, so here's my shameless like baby picture. Trying to get my son to sleep with these leaf blowers. And it was really, really difficult. You would get these landscapers with, 3-4 guys operating leaf blowers at once, and it was really loud. So just so you know, my son's now learning to drive, so it's been a while. So I actually felt so strongly about the issue that I thought there's got to be a better way. I actually started a landscaping company myself. And really my, primary concern was the noise and simply how annoying it was. Annoying, disruptive. So that's what I did. I did that for a few years. I'm no longer doing it, but again, it's still an issue for me. But my thinking has evolved since then, that it's not just noise, and even the noise is not just annoying. It's more than that. It's really it's a public health issue. It's an environmental issue. It's a social justice issue. It's a very local issue. So, I mean, New Haven has the 5th highest asthma rate in the US. And if you look at the, air pollution, noise pollution, the air pollution has a significant effect on asthma. Many landscaping workers live in our community, and they're kind of like the front line of the people who bear the brunt of the health issues. It's also a fixable issue. So, sometimes people ask, well, why are you, with all the problems New Haven has, why are you concerned about gas-powered leaf blowers? And it's sort of low-hanging fruit. It's like, this is something we can actually fix. It's a problem that is not the biggest problem in the world, but it's a problem we can fix. There are alternatives, and a lot of municipalities is kind of like the way things are going. Sorry, trying to click on there we go. All right, so what are gas-powered leaf blowers? What am I actually talking about? They're actually a fairly modern invention, around since about the 70s, 80s, originally actually for pesticides. So people were not blowing leaves around back in, 50s and 60s. The engines they use, most of them still use 2-stroke engines, which are extremely polluting. Also just problems of, again, the wind speed creates environmental damage, oil and gas spillage, which is kind of a given with any kind of equipment like that. And the health effects. So first, and again, this was sort of my primary issue, was the noise pollution. So the noise is significant. It a lot of times will exceed 55 decibels, which is the WHO recommended maximum, and also the New Haven noise ordinance standard. And it causes specific stress. It can cause hearing loss. It can cause cardiac disease, all sorts of other disorders as well. And this is, again, the landscaping crews are the ones who bear the brunt of it. The air pollution, so particulate pollution, VOCs, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, obviously that contributes to diseases such as asthma. Again, endemic problem in New Haven. So, you think like, okay, I can't do anything about, 91 and 95 going through New Haven, but again, at least we can reduce the burden on particularly children who are suffering with asthma. It also happens to have been linked to fine particulate matter, elevated death rates from COVID-19. So nice current topical issue there. Environmental effects. So obviously polluting the two-stroke motors, greenhouse gas emissions, climate change, obviously on everybody's minds. Gas and oil spills, and even the air, the speeds can be significant at high speed, and a lot of the landscapers use them at top speed. Damages soil, damages local ecosystems. So how much exactly air pollution do they emit? These are some of the numbers compared with a Ford F-150 Raptor. So even the more modern 4-stroke leaf blower emits 7 times more nitrogen oxides and 13 times the carbon monoxide. So those are, again, there's more stats. I don't want to bombard you with numbers, but they're significant sources of pollution. As for social justice, you wonder like, well, what's the social, really leaf blowers? But again, the landscaping workers themselves bear the brunt of this. They bear the brunt of particularly the health issues that crop up. Also children, obviously, their systems are smaller. They're more susceptible to things like this. Shift workers. So anybody who does not work a normal 9-to-5 job, you work nights, you're home during the day trying to get some rest. And again, the noise is significant. So Interestingly, one of the many unintended consequences of the pandemic was so many people working remotely at home came to realize, had no idea of the problem of leaf blowers, and all of a sudden, all these people are like, oh my gosh, the leaf blowers, do something about them. Again, is sort of something even people weren't aware of what was going on in their own yards if they had professional landscapers. Also, anybody with chronic conditions, obviously any kind of pulmonary condition, but others as well. And the elderly, again, people who are more susceptible to the dangers of this. And there are alternatives. We're not just saying get rid of them. Electric blower technology has vastly improved. They're comparable to gas-powered leaf blowers in power and time efficiency. They can even save money. Obviously, there are other sustainable landscaping options as well. They're probably a lot more appropriate for like a homeowner rather than a landscaping company. But again, there are alternatives. And so this is what we're doing. So we've been talking to the Environmental Advisory Council, the City Plan Commission, and they have actually unanimously passed a resolution. What we want is to have the Board of Alders hold a public hearing on gas-powered leaf blowers. So it's currently with the Board of Alders committee, possibly based on noise ordinance. Again, there's sort of different avenues for addressing this. We're circulating a public petition. I can share a link with that as well, kind of requesting that this happen. We're also reaching out to local landscapers. So I want to stress this as a former landscaper myself. We don't want to put anybody out of business. We want to be kind of like business friendly and not just, I'm sorry, you have to, throw out all your equipment and buy all new equipment. That it's expensive. So we're reaching out to kind of come up with a viable collaborative solution, rebates, buybacks, tax incentives, marketing opportunities. We're trying to come up with creative ways to help them kind of transition to new technology. And this is what we're asking you for. So I don't know if your management team has a formal process for requesting a letter of support. I'm kind of throwing this out here now, but please let me if there is. So we're requesting a letter of support for our petition. Basically simply stating, we support or urge the Board of Alders to hold a hearing on gas-powered leaf blowers. We would also love to have individual support. So, even aside from that, just raising awareness. Again, feel free, sign our petition, spread the word, and thank you for considering our request.
Thank you very much. That was a great presentation, and I really like the full
Thank you very much.
Business aspect of it. While you're still here, I would entertain a motion to approve a letter of support. In support of that, I think we can use the language in the resolution. So we would have a letter that said something like the Downtown West Square Management Team is in support of the following resolution. Is there any motion for that on the table? Looking for a motion.
Yeah, we can make a motion.
All right, Tony Kozlowski, a second.
I'll second that motion.
All right, Lana with the second. All right, all those in favor, feel free to raise your hand using the reactions button. Raise your hand. Almost put y'all in breakout rooms. All right, those voting members are people who live or work in the downtown or Worcester Square area and do not hold elected position with our city. All right. Tony, I keep seeing your hand go up. Sarah, I see your hand go up. Thank you. You can raise it on camera. That works just fine. All right. That is 7 in favor. I'm going to clear that. Anybody opposed? All right, seeing none, the motion passes. All right, we will grant a letter of support for you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everybody taking the time to listen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Now we're going to hand it back over to Ms. King and Yale. Perhaps you can talk about the electric leaf blowers that Yale's converted to.
Actually, I'm not an expert on that, but I can try to get information from you all and get back
It's
to you.
okay. I see them out there. They work
Thanks
great.
for putting me on the spot. And to Alder Saban's point, he is correct. There is going to be an announcement tomorrow. I don't have details, but I'm happy to follow up with details at the next meeting and answer any questions. So we'll stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be some great stories about it tomorrow. I do have a few announcements about events that are going to take place over the next few weeks. One is the Yale Harvard game, which is going to take place on Saturday, November 20th at noon this Saturday. A related event is the Yale Police Department is coordinating a Stuff a Cruiser event that's going to support the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen. So a cruiser will be parked on Central Avenue, about 81 Central Avenue, from 9 to 1 that day. So if you're going to the game, or even if you are kind of walking or biking by, please help to support Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen by donating a non-perishable food item to put into the cruiser. Again, that's benefiting the Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen. Holidays are coming up. There's going to be a tree lighting ceremony on the green on December 2nd. I have conflicting, I don't know if the alders know what time it is. I have conflicting times, but I will put a link in the chat so that you can follow that. And I think it's going to take place about 5:30, but please don't hold me to that. Please check the website that I'll share for further details. Around the downtown area, while we are encouraging people to wear masks, there will be a lot more activation this time of year as opposed to this time last year. So there will be roaming carolers going around the Whitney Audubon district on Saturdays, on Saturday afternoons. I'll put details in the chat. There'll be an ice carving competition on Sunday, December 2nd from noon to 4. That's going to be held on Broadway Island. And a ton of other holiday festivities. So I encourage you all to come out, wear your masks, even though things will be outside, and enjoy the time together during this magic season. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Yale and for Ms. King?
Oh, and thank you, Ian, for 7 p.m. for the tree lighting.
No worries. Yeah, I got it from the WTNH site. I think they're sponsoring that. All right, seeing none, and thank you so much. We will now move to our open forum. Anybody got anything that they want to talk about going on in the neighborhood? All right, Linda, thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to follow up from our September meeting. There was a motion passed where we thought it'd be a good idea to invite someone from City Plan to come talk to us. And I just wanted to know what the status of that is.
Thanks. Anstris, are you able to answer that?
This is Anstris. Not exactly. At our last e-board meeting, I think, as I remember, I think we thought that it could be good to organize some of the questions that we have. The idea was to invite, I'm sorry, something just came through here and I'm a little bit distracted. To invite the director of City Plan to come and actually to try to make the meeting work more efficiently by having some questions in advance. So I think that what we discussed was maybe fleshing out some of the questions that we would like the director of City Plan to address today. Am I remembering right? I see Ian.
Yeah, maybe I can help you. So I think where we were at, and apologies, Linda, because I did miss the September meeting, so I was trying to catch it up, is I know there was a vote to request City Plan's attendance. in our e-board meetings, we had a conversation about how to make that meeting the most productive. I think where we are at right now is we want to, potentially using the development subcommittee, crack open so just so folks understand, there's, I believe Ms. Reader and others on Grand Ave have been working a lot to figure out a plan for the Grand Ave corridor as it relates to zoning and potential construction and development over there. Probably most recently brought on by the proposal to, or the proposal that we had heard to do some work to convert the Ungers flooring building into apartments. We heard after that the developer was actually going to pull back on that idea and potentially move for a plan that would take a more as of right approach, potentially even raising that building and building a maxed out Florida area ratio development. That we haven't heard anything else on that, but we do want to uplift and highlight the work that Ms. Reader and others on who border Grand Ave have been doing to figure out the zoning over there. I would suggest that we have some more open discussion about what you're looking for over there, and then we can ask City Plan to come in and respond to some stuff or to anything that's brought up there. But I'd be happy to entertain any other suggestions as well. Sorry. That was kind
Okay. So what do you propose? Like, will there be an invitation issued and then like a week before we'll get you questioned? Everyone will have that, you'll ask people for questions, or are you suggesting we talk about some issues now or?
I'd be happy to talk about some more issues now. If we're going to do that, though, I don't want to hold our other two announcements. So
Yep.
I'm happy to stay on, though. But I think the feeling that I've had currently is that I don't want to invite City Plan in just to a thing that they don't know what's going on. So if we could put out there what we're thinking about and what's going on, I feel like they'll be in a better position to have more meaningful feedback. And then I assume there's a bunch of people on this call that are like, what are we talking about? Because I don't think I missed that meeting, but I think other people probably weren't in the room too. So there is, I think, the hesitation, to be more clear. So Linda, would you be okay with putting a pin in it? We can hear some other complaints other issues going on, ideas, and then we can circle back and kind of open a larger forum about what's going on Grand Ave.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay, cool. In that case, I will answer this. I saw your hand go up. Do you want to respond to that though?
I guess we're trying to figure out what's the best way forward. My guess is that if we're able to have Asia Woods come, that it might be good to invite her to our regular meeting for a short discussion, because I think that there could even be other questions that members of the community might have, not just Grand Avenue, but to keep it a fairly simple meeting, much like when people from economic development come. And then Aaron Good, I see, is on the call. What maybe the thing to do is then to have that lead into a meeting that could go into a little more depth with the development committee, and that we could ask her to attend that. And then people that have a special focused interest in some of the city planning and zoning issues can all come to that meeting, but everyone can get a taste of what's coming or what's on the table and decide whether to come to the more in-depth meeting. Would that sound like a plan?
It does to me.
I like that. All right. We will follow up on that. And Linda, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can call me and we can chat to make a really good plan around this. I'm happy to work on that.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, so next up, Miriam and then Tony. After that, anybody else has anything that they'd like to raise, we'll go to Alex Guzne, introduce himself there, and then, I'm sorry, Steve, you're gonna bring us home.
On my top, I'm gonna talk about COVID and flu shots. This has been my pet issue. I'm excited that the New Haven Public Library has been hosting COVID vaccine clinics again for ages 12 and up, Monday through Saturday. But I'm still not happy there's no downtown testing facility. You have to still go to Fairhaven Community Healthcare, Cornell, Scott Hill, Dixwell, or Yale, Orchard Street. There's no downtown testing. No matter how often I've asked for it, there is still nothing that comes downtown. As for flu shots, also, I don't feel like there's a downtown like regular flu shot clinic because CVS, again, if you're uninsured, it costs $40. So if someone doesn't have insurance, they can't just pop into CVS. And I've asked the Griffin Health people who run the clinic, oh, can they do testing and vaccines? And they said they can't do testing because they need special hazmat equipment, and they can't. And I guess the flu shot has to be coordinated with the health department. I've seen other clinics do, both, flu shots and COVID shots in one setting. And like I said, the lack of testing downtown is troubling. And also, I know this is more political. I guess we have our incoming alder, and our, and our current alders. One issue that's been bothering me is our vaccination rate in New Haven lags behind the rest of the state. They like to say, well, 79% of people 12 and up have been vaccinated, but when they go through the whole, everyone in the whole city, it's like 58%, when the statewide number is like 71%. And I know this is a third rail, but like the city employees do not have to be vaccinated. They can test weekly. And what bothers me is A, they don't, there's the test opt out, and B, they do so on work time, from my understanding. And that kind of bothers me that, like, in New York City, Mayor de Blasio, said no more, and, told the testing option and got more compliance. And I know it's a third rail here, especially with, like, I guess, certain departments like police being understaffed, but I wish the city would kind of be more aggressive with that. Like, if nothing else, to say, okay, no more testing on work time if you choose not to get the vaccine. You're not for exemption, but you just choose not to. It's been something that's been bothering me.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I'm just looking at, so it does look like there may be free flu shots, not free flu shots with an asterisk, but free flu shots through the community healthcare van.
You put them in there. When do they come though? Like, when do they come downtown?
Exactly. They kind of wander about. So we'll have to monitor that. If I receive anything through the management team's email list, I'll make sure to put it in a newsletter and blast that out. And we'll actually directly hit you up on that. But otherwise, I think, I know many of the pharmacies downtown offer free with an asterisk, meaning you have to have insurance.
Right. But if you don't, it's $40 for a flu shot at CVS. I asked them. I'm insured, but like, I asked them what an uninsured person would pay, and they said $40, which isn't, that's not,
Yep.
It may not be affordable for someone who's, especially someone who's uninsured. I mean,
But if that's the barrier to getting it or not, that's a problem. So I understand that. All right. Well, we will follow up, and if I hear anything, I'll reach out to. Alder Roth.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I put in the chat, just in case you didn't see it, Miriam, that there is COVID testing now on Wednesdays at 200 Orange Street on the 4th floor from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So maybe that will be a useful resource. I know it's just once a week, but at least it's something.
Thank you. Yeah, we should promote that more, because I didn't know about it till you told me, and I'm pretty ear to the ground with all COVID stuff around here. So that we should promote this.
Absolutely. Put it on your Twitter. All right. Tony.
Yeah, I was hoping Doug Hauslander would still be here, but he's not on the list. So we're having a real speed problem on our dead end street. And half of the people that come, about half, are out of state licenses. So they're coming off the highway, and, they don't do the 25-mile-per-hour thing, and it's only 2 blocks, and all of a sudden they're screeching brakes and making drastic turns into a U-Haul parking lot. I was almost hit last week out in front of my house. Somebody just showed up in a big black truck and doing 45 at the end of a dead-end street. It's like, how can you do that, But anyways, we've got to try to ameliorate the situation. It seems that GPS tells people they can get to Worcester Street coming up a dead end street. So that's a real problem. And U-Haul has taken to parking their trucks in front of their driveway, so you can't access the parking lot to turn around. So if you've got 2 or 3 cars coming down the street and they're all bunched up at the end, it's a real cluster, you know what. So I was hoping I could talk to Doug tonight about that, but I see I'm gonna have to give him a call if he answers the phone.
So it's not Doug anymore. You're gonna have to talk to.
Right.
Who is it?
Well, so Doug moved to the New Haven Parking Authority. Carla Lindquist is the interim chief over there at TTMP, but she's actually out on maternity now, so we might be down to someone like Bruce or one of the traffic engineers. Ms. Greenblatt?
Well, we might want to talk to Lieutenant Borer too.
Yes. No, I think that there's 2 things here. There's an enforcement
Right.
issue and there's a design issue.
There's a design and for, yeah, right. But I think at dead end street speeding, we got to know about it.
Yep. This might be a good moment to flag. There will be some discussions in the neighborhood soon about some money that the Worcester Square Historic Association got from the state. It needs to go through the Board of Alders first, but there's quite a bit of money that.
We haven't gotten it yet. We're applying for it at this very
okay.
week.
All right, there's an earmark for a potential money that could go to Worcester Square traffic calming and it's a significant amount of money that could really be helpful. So I will.
We could use some speed bumps, to tell you the truth.
And when we sent out our survey a couple months ago, that was the priority. And it's always been the priority for traffic calming. And so we're working with the city and Giovanni on how do we make that happen. And we hope to be presenting at a future meeting.
And we would love to have you there. That'd be great.
Right.
Tony, just one last thing on your situation over there. I did talk to Carla Lindquist before she left. If you see issues with people parking in the DOT median area there, that's not the city and they can't do anything about it, but.
Oh, over on where at the entrance to the highway?
On the entrance to the highway?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Friday and Saturday night. There's 25 cars there.
Yeah, I understand. So unfortunately, since it's not city jurisdiction, the city can't help, but.
I know.
I'm
I'm going to call the state police.
Yeah, the state police is the
I'm gonna get
enforcement
them
body there.
about something, because there's another incident where I was driving back home one night and I came down Franklin and immediately ran into Trace Scalini's idea of valet parking, which took up the entire street, both lanes, people just walking out into oncoming traffic. It's crazy. So something's got to be done before somebody gets hurt.
In particular, in those situations where you see a public safety or a life safety issue, the New Haven Traffic and Parking has requested that you call a non-emergency and report that as a safety issue, an immediate safety issue, and they'll send out somebody to help clear that up. I think for the more design-based issues, we'll need to get into a longer conversation, the complete streets application and all that. But any immediate, and I think this goes for anybody, if you see something dangerous, say something and call it in. All right, last up, Anstris, and then we'll go back to Alder Guzman.
Quick, related to Miriam's thoughts about the flu vaccine. I think if we could, for the moment, in our outgoing messages, information on the testing clinic and get the room number on the 4th floor, that would be good. And I'm wondering, Sarah, if you could add that to your Block Watch group email, that there's COVID testing on the 4th floor, what Abby Roth shared with us. And then I'm wondering, something was mentioned about a medical van that moves around the city giving free flu shots. I don't remember what it was called, but if we could find out the name of it and actually get dates from them when they are in the downtown area, and the same things posted on our website and our outgoing emails so that people know about it. What was the name of the band that people mentioned?
It was the community healthcare van. I think it's a Yale New Haven Health Department of Health partnership.
I think it'd be great if we could find out a date and then, and if we knew enough in advance and we told them we were trying to make sure we could get the news out to the community about when they'd be here and where. I think it's an important thing to try to do.
Will do. All right. Anybody else? All right, Alder-elect Guzne. Sorry for the delay.
Hey, no worries. I think first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for staying so long. And yeah, I'm really thankful for the opportunity to speak today. There's some folks who I've talked to here who know me, other folks who don't. My name's Alex Guzne. I'm the Alder-elect for Ward 1. I originally grew up in Fairhaven and now live here downtown. And a lot of the work I did in Fairhaven was with our management team. So a lot of the stuff that we're talking about at this meeting, I'm pretty familiar with. Also helped out with recent Vaccinate Fairhaven efforts, which are really important in getting folks, especially in Fairhaven, vaccinated. Also did Democracy School, New Haven Democracy School, which I recommend any New Haven resident who wants to get involved or wants to gain a better understanding of how city government works. Really recommend it. It was really informative and really helpful. And yeah, I also just wrapped up a part-time job at Common Grounds Mobile Market, which kind of made it harder to stop by these meetings over the past months. But you know, I'm transitioning into this role now. And so I'll definitely be available to give reports, like Alder Saban, like Alder Kupo, and Alder as well, here about stuff happening at the citywide level. It has been tougher this sort of election cycle to reach out to folks, and specifically in Ward 1, and honestly over the city, just given the COVID situation. So if you live here in Ward 1 or you know people that live in Ward 1, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my contact information and phone number and email in the chat after this. And yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to working closely with Alder Saban, Alder Kupo, and big thanks to Alder Roth for her service on the board. And yeah, we're looking forward to work with the Board of Alders on a lot of issues that we talk about here, like public safety, affordable housing, and a bunch more other really important issues. And also as well, looking forward to working with Arthur from LCI, Lieutenant Boer, and sort of seeing how much I can help and contribute to the great work that they've been doing here, here in Ward 1 and across downtown and across Wooster Square. And yeah, anything, yeah, always feel free to reach out to me about anything you'd like to see in Ward 1. You know, Miriam was one of those people that reached out to me during the campaign about a bunch of different stuff that she raised today. And I encourage anyone to do the same and voice their opinion or give me you know, anything they'd like to see or any particular city issue that they're passionate about. Again, via phone number, email. I'll definitely be building up a mailing list, so definitely feel free to send me any emails if you'd like to be on it. And yeah, I don't want to take up too much of their time, but yeah, I was just really happy, really excited to work with such a dedicated group of community members, both at the Board of Alders and outside the Board of Alders at the city level and at the community level. And yeah, just really here to learn, but also here to contribute as much as I can. And yeah, just really excited and yeah, again, feel free to reach out to me as much for anything. And I'll do my best I can to help out or just chat if anyone wants to do that too. But yeah, thanks you all for having me and yeah, I'll be here regularly now. So we'll see each other again. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to having you both part of this team and on the board. It is amazing to see your journey from living in, being a New Havener, going through Yale, and then taking the Yale Alder seat, but being a New Havener homegrown, which is really amazing. So thank you so much.
Making it a tradition.
Right. I know. Right? Sorry, I was a little shade on Ewan, but he does count too. He's East Rock, it's a different town. So, anywho, I will say on what Alex just said. I think that last mention of just getting a chat is really an important thing to do with your elected representatives. Grab a coffee and just share your ideas and get their ideas, because I know from seeing my wife's work, it is a fairly thankless job, and it works so much better when you have people in your constituency who are working with you and pushing you and supporting you. So thank you for your service to be. All right, and last but not least, sorry to make you wait, Steve Werland from Desk.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for sticking around till the very, very end. And welcome to our Alder-elect. I'm looking forward to working with you, showing you a little bit about what we're doing at Desk. I'm going to share my screen here, if that's okay. I won't give too much of a background. I mean, I think most people here know who we are, know what we do. I did want to just touch on 3 quick issues, just give a little bit of an update as to what we've been doing recently. I think last time I was here, I talked about our new drop-in center as a project to be, but we did actually open up in April. I hope everyone got a chance to see some of the news coverage over in the spring and over the summer and in the fall. It's been very exciting. It's been going really well. Our staff is doing some amazing work. We're connecting with people. We're getting them connected to services. We're getting people into shelter. And most importantly, we're getting people housed. So it's really exciting to watch it happen. We're just actually on the phone this afternoon with an older gentleman, a veteran who just got housing this week. So it's really quite amazing to watch. So if you're interested in coming by and seeing the space, I know some of the 9th Square merchants have already come by. We did an Arcan administration training recently. If anyone else is interested in getting a tour, I'm happy to do it. Just shoot me an email. I'll put my email will be at the end of the slideshow here. Happy to show people around what we're doing. But the other 2 reasons I'm here tonight, I always like to try to come by in the fall to do a little bit of a plug for our Thanksgiving program. We are, of course, getting ready for the big holiday. This is the busiest weeks of our year here at Desk. We'll be doing our typical big, exciting pantry day a week from tomorrow, where we are going to be giving out 150, 180 something turkeys. Sunday we collected 186 turkeys, which was just an incredible turnout from the community. So thanks to those of you who did support us through that. I saw Elsie Chapman on here earlier. So thank you to Elsie and the Links, especially for all their good work and supporting us. And then on Thanksgiving Day, of course, we'll be delivering to people's homes about 1,100 meals out of our Temple Street location. I think we're pretty much up to our ears in terms of how many volunteers we can take, but if you still do want to support this effort, we are still taking some food donations, but honestly, at this point, monetary donations are really most welcome, so we can sort of fill in the gaps in this last remaining week as to where we need various items just to round it out and make it happen. So if you are interested in supporting it, I do encourage you to go to deskct.org/Thanksgiving, or feel free to shoot us an email at info@deskct.org. Happy to give you some more information about that program as well. Okay, lastly,
So I'm gonna, we see a black screen that says.
Oh no, you can't see my screen.
I haven't yet seen it, so.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Let's see.
Here, I'll turn it off and then you can go ahead and pop it.
Yeah, let me try that again. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no.
Huh. You see it now?
See that you have started sharing, but that's it.
Ugh, that's annoying. All right, well, it's just mostly some nice pictures. What I'll do is I'll send out a PDF version of it so everyone can go in and take a look at it later. In fact, maybe I can do that and talk at the same time here. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay. So in addition to, I'm not going to try to do it and talk at the same time. I'll send it out afterwards. So the last thing I'm here to talk about tonight is our CDBG application. Every year, the city asks us as part of the Community Development Block Grant Program to go around to the community management teams and just tell you all about what we're doing and get some support. We always try to make a point specifically to come to this one because, of course, this is where we are operating. So this year, as with last year, we're going to be submitting two proposals to the city. One is going to be the typical application, typical proposal that we submit every year, which is to serve meals out of our Temple Street location. Usually we request $30,000, and usually we get somewhere in the vicinity of $10,000 to $13,000. So that's kind of what we're assuming will happen this year. The actual costs of the program are a little bit closer to $200,000, which, if you consider that we're serving about 100 to 250 people every night, is a pretty good bargain, I think. So this is sort of the piece that the city covers through the Community Development Block Grant Program. So that's one proposal. The second proposal is to support the capital work that we're going to be doing on the State Street building. So the building at 266 State Street, which we purchased just this past December, we're going to be doing some renovations on the main floor where the drop-in center is, but the bigger piece of the renovations are going to include the construction of an elevator and the build out of the transition of the second floor into a medical clinic that will be run by Hill Health. So it's going to be, Hill Health will be renting out the space on that second floor. It's a pretty major project. The city supported it this past year with a $50,000 capital grant, and so we're going to ask them again for additional support to continue that project. It's a 3-year capital project that's going to be going on. We'll ask them probably for more like 150, but we expect to get more in the order of $50,000 or $100,000 through this program. So part of the reason for the city asking us to go around to the CMTs is to sort of put some of the I guess some of the control and the equation into the local CMTs and to give you all a voice. So if this is something that you feel is appropriate to be supporting for downtown, I do encourage you to support us with a letter that would go directly to the city to show your support. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you do have any questions about either anything I mentioned, the Thanksgiving program, or specifically the CDBG proposals.
Great, thank you so much. Just a clarifying question: is this so it sounds like you're asking for a letter in support of the CDBG grant and then a letter in support of the capital improvements too?
So it can be one letter. I actually have a template and I can send it out. If you want to use it, you can. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But at least it'll lay out exactly what the two projects are very, very succinctly. The first one being services in the form of meals that we'll serve on a nightly basis, and the second one being capital work, but they're both through the CDBG program.
Okay, great, perfect. Anybody else have any questions? All right, I would entertain a motion to support that letter of support.
I'll make that motion. Let's do it.
So, seconds. Miriam, I'll take that hand as a second. Thank you very much.
I'll second it, yes.
I appreciate that. All right, so the motion is a motion for the Downtown Worcester Square Management Team to support Downtown Evening Soup Kitchen's a request for a letter of support from the Downtown Worcester Square Management Team in support of the Community Development Block Grant applications. I cannot say that again, but I think we got it. Any discussion? Questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand using the reactions raise hand button. I'll take a thumbs up. It'll disappear, but I'll have to remember it. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, that's 9 in favor out of the voting body. Thank you so much. I'm going to lower your hands. That's 10 in favor. Thank you. Anybody opposed? All right, great. Seeing none, the motion passes. We will, all right, that's 11 in favor. That's unanimous. Thank you so much.
And I did just put into the chat for those who are interested information for the Thanksgiving program, email address if you'd like to receive information about what we do, as well as the pretty pictures that I didn't get to show tonight through the slideshow. So feel free to take a look.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Absolutely, thank you for hanging out. to the bitter end. I will note, and I think we will amend our format going forward to move our voting items up towards the top of the agenda so we can get more people in the room. Thanks, Alana, for that suggestion. If anybody else has any recommendations about ways that you would want to see this meeting flow differently, we are happy to entertain them. We've kind of been marching on the path that we started out with, but we're finding things that work and things that don't. So really very, very happy to hear suggestions about what you want to see out of this meeting. And otherwise, if anybody else doesn't have any further business, we'll see you guys soon. No? Anybody? Anybody? All right. Have a great night, y'all. Stay safe. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Second. Great. All
I'll
those in
second
favor
it.
say aye on your way out the door.
Aye.
All right. That passes. All right. Y'all can go now. Have a great night.
Take care.
Take care.